I'm great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. So, just going to read off some of your many accomplishments here. First of all, we met Kayla back in the 2022 festival. She had submitted a film of hers called I Am Jalaiah, which is about Jalaiah Harmon, who is the creator of The Renegade, which, because I am old and out of it, I'm not aware of, but that is apparently an incredibly viral TikTok dance and sort of went deep on the story behind her. And she returned again last year in the 2023 festival with Fenom, which is a film following teen basketball prodigy and signed rapper Flau'Jae Johnson, who you've probably heard about if you've been alive during the past year. So prior to all that, she was started out as a producer at ESPN, producing content for live sports, live events, and was a 2019 Webby Awardee for her series named The 90s. She's now the head of originals for Togethxr, which is a project we're going to be talking a little bit more about later on. And she develops original content for streaming networks and Togethxr's platforms. So that's a lot. How's it going?
It's good. Thank you so much. I'm like shocked when you read all of that.
You
I'm
sound
like,
busy. You
wow.
sound busy.
I do sound busy, but no, I'm just honored and grateful to have these opportunities. And obviously so grateful to the Atlanta Film Festival for, admitting two of my films. Admittedly, they were my two first directorial debuts. So I'm super, super grateful. Thank you again for having me.
Yeah. So we last talked in April during the festival. You were very graciously agreed in your time at the festival to appear on a panel with some other filmmakers who were talking about their films, their features in the Georgia Films competition. So yeah, what have you been up to lately? Give us an update. It's been about 6 months since we talked.
Oh man, we've been up to a lot. Creating shows. I just was telling you before we went live. You asked me about the WNBA finals, and we actually launched a show called the Sit and TP Show, which highlights two, we say, bench warmers in the WNBA, but it really is just like a comedy sketch show that you can catch on Fubo TV in partnership with Maximum Effort, Ryan Reynolds production company. But it really is just those two being full clowns and trying to become the faces of the league. So that launched a few weeks ago that we're super, super proud of and been super busy with, and obviously some smaller projects, but I would say that one has been taking up most of our time for sure.
Yeah. And since I don't know if this is returning to a subject that I'm sure you're tired of thinking about, but have you felt the effects of the strike at all? The WGA strike, the ongoing SAG-AFTRA strike? I know there's been a slowdown across the industry. There's definitely been a topic of conversation here in Atlanta. What has that been like from your end?
Thankfully it hasn't hit us too hard. That project actually wasn't SAG, so, and we got to finish it right before the strike. So any writers that we had on, we had before anything kind of went down. I would say I'm grateful because we do a lot of documentary work. So again, that's why it doesn't really affect us too much, because any scripted things that we want to do will probably be in 2024 anyway. So we were able to continue production. A lot of our stuff is independent as well. So it didn't hit us too hard, but I'm definitely grateful for that.
So let's rewind a little bit. I guess we have some time. Last time we talked, like I said, it was on a panel, so there was lots to cover and not much time to do it in. So I do want to sort of kind of take it back a step and talk to us a bit. From your bio, it sounds like you entered filmmaking from the sports media world, but kind of, was that the first step for you, or was there something before that, or how did you sort of give us a wide view of how you came into filmmaking?
Yeah, I like to say, I mean, nothing's by accident, but it definitely was something that I wasn't actively pursuing. When I was at ESPN, it was my first job out of college. So I always knew that I loved storytelling and producing, and a lot of what I was doing was one-man band work. So I was shooting, editing, ideating, directing myself, like doing all those things myself. And then when I got to Togethxr, thankful, I'm so grateful for Togethxr, because I was given more resources to do more long form storytelling. And with the I Am Jalaiah project, it just came to a point where, we were a small but mighty team. So we're taking on multiple roles. And one of those roles was, for me, was directing that short documentary. So that was my first taste of really long form storytelling. And after that, I was like, oh man, I want to be, fully in this world. So taking on Fenom was like, yeah, let's do this. Because after getting my feet wet, I felt like I was ready to go. And I know a lot of your great alums, come from prestigious film schools. And for me, I didn't go to film school. I just really am going off of, you know, just creativity and, the gift that God has given me to storytell. And it's worked out. But I think for me, it's great because a lot of the rules that learn in film school, I didn't have that. So I feel like I break a lot of those by accident. And it works out for me. Obviously, I love learning from people who, did go to those schools and have produced and directed phenomenal films. But I am grateful for my journey because I feel like it helps me stand out as a filmmaker a little bit more.
Mhm. Yeah, I think something that I think about a lot as a programmer, especially this time of year, I'm in front of a stream of films sometimes from all day long. Is my day is watching films, and I think about, as a product of film school myself, I think about like what are the differences, what are the advantages and drawbacks, and I do think there's something to be said on either side. But I think to just a reaction to what you're saying, I think yes, you can feel in a lot of student work the kind of like drive to like break the rules. And I feel like when they're laid down for you a little bit, you're in class every day, learning about how to make a film like that to bust out of that, which is necessary to kind of express yourself creatively as much as you can. That's there's a little bit different of a road to travel, right? If you're coming from the outside. So that's interesting to hear that. I had a question about the Jalaiah project. Was that a story that was sort of brought to you, or like where was your entry point to meet Jalaiah and sort of hear her story and decide to capture her on film?
Yeah, so when I joined Togethxr, they were actually in the process of talking to her and wanting to tell this story. It was actually one of the things that made me want to join Togethxr. I think it was an important story to tell just because Jalaiah is such a unique piece in our cultural history. I know TikTok is newer, but she really made that app, the dance app that you see today. I mean, I know it's just not dance, but I'm showing my age. But popularizing dancing on TikTok, I really believe started with Jalaiah, and she really wasn't given that credit. So being able to come in and really lead that project and pick it up from where they kind of left it was really awesome for me, because that's the whole point of being a storyteller, is shedding light on people that may not have had that voice shared. So that was really, really important to me, and I'm glad that we got that one done.
Mm-hmm. And so when you're coming into a project like that, right, where somebody sort of like match made you and they're saying like you're the person to tell the story, was it a process of, it's something that we talk about in the doc side all the time when we're programming, is it gets put under the banner of access, which is a weird word, but it's like we were talking amongst ourselves in the doc shorts group this week, and one of our programmers said something that really resonated with me about how in interviews, especially when somebody's talking to their subject, their character, whatever you want to call it, the person who they're documenting, you can almost tell instantaneously there's a quality of the talk that tells you like, oh, this person is talking to somebody that they're comfortable with, right? And so like it's more than just access, like being able to get to the place and the time and the people that the story concerns, but actually forming a relationship, and I think that's something that both of your films that we've showed share. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what that process was like, how you found that. Were there differences between the two projects, or kind of what's your philosophy around that?
Yeah, I always say going into making that I care more about the person than the story, which has worked out because when you care about people, they feel that. They feel like the authenticity of, are you just trying to get some drama? Are you just trying to get, the storyline, or do you really care about me as a person? Because when you care about somebody, you care about telling their story the right way, and you're going to get those moments. With Jalaiah, there were some similarities and differences. With Jalaiah, she's a shyer kid. And the difference between her and Flau'Jae. Flau'Jae's
Yeah,
like,
is Flau'Jae shy? Is she a shy
no,
person?
like not even close. The first day I met her, I'm like, oh my goodness, this girl takes the room by storm in the best way possible. But with Julia, she's quieter, so it's harder to kind of crack through that shell. And I remember something that kind of opened the door a little bit for us to get to know her a little bit better was through her mom. And we had I also take pride in getting crews and hiring crews that reflect the talent and make the talent feel more comfortable. I think that's really important. You can have a director that reflects her, but what about the sound person and your DP? And so I remember hopping on a call with her mom and wanting her to be introduced to the crew, and everybody came on and everybody, was a minority. And she immediately gravitated towards that and was like, I wasn't going to let you guys film in my home or film like these intimate moments, dinner, whatever. But the first day she was like, I felt comfortable because I knew Kayla took the time to really find people that related to us. And so much so that Jalaiah was interested in a school, and one of the assistant cams graduated from that school, which I didn't even know.
Hmm.
Um, but those little things, I think, help open up the subject and allow you to build an authentic relationship. And I think with Flau'Jae, it was the same but different. Like I said, she does not meet a stranger. She comes in and she's just like, I'm here, what's up, hey, how's it going? But there still was a little bit of a wall up because she didn't know me. And I remember something that broke for us was we were waiting for the set to for her hero shots, the set to be set up. And so I go and start making conversation with her. No cameras, no mics, no nothing. I just wanted to get to know her. And after that moment, her mom said she called her and was like, Kayla's so cool. Like, she really just tried to get to know me. And she's like fam now. And ever since then, I got to film whatever I wanted. She was very free and open. And so that's what I mean by caring about the person rather than like, oh, we have to get this moment. It's like, do you actually care so that you tell their story the right way?
Yeah, I can see how many like people who just watch documentaries. I feel like we hear a lot about the relationship between directors and actors in scripted work and narrative work, and how like delicate a balance that is, and how you have to create room for actors to play and they have to feel at ease. And so I think documentaries directorially get a little bit of shortchanged because I don't think there's a lot of attention paid to how much of an art that can be in and of itself. Is making people not just feel comfortable, like you're not just assure them that you're going to like not paint them in a bad light or like make them look bad or like capture them doing something goofy and cut it into your movie, but like also that you're going to relate to them on a person level and try to like understand them and allow them to be who they are in front of a camera, right? That's the thing that documentary people in documentaries and people on camera in fiction films kind of share, is like they have to have room to be themselves or be who they're trying to be, who they are, their character, right? So sorry, just a little aside there. It's really interesting to hear you talk about that, and I think it's something that both of your films really benefit from, is the ability to do that successfully and to connect with a subject on a human level, like you're talking about. So we sort of skipped over the part where you met Flau'Jae, or how you got involved with that project. It's also through Togethxr, right? So it's, I assume, another case where somebody's like, we are talking about doing this and we'd like you to come aboard, or was it a different? Am I assuming, is it a different thing?
It was different. So that one came from me. I know that we wanted to do a story on the next big thing, next big athlete, female athlete. And so honestly, shout out to social media, but just scrolling through my Instagram for you page, and I see this highlight of this girl playing basketball, and I'm like, she looks so familiar. She can hoop, but I'm like, where is she from? And then I remember, I'm like, oh my gosh, is this the girl from the Rap Game, which is a show
Oh
on
yeah,
um,
the Lifetime show. Yeah.
Atlanta. Yeah, it was really good. And I was like, oh my gosh, no way. And funny enough, it was. And so I start, going through her page and seeing that she's still rapping, saw that she committed to LSU. And I'm like, she's really talented. Like, why isn't anybody, exploring the story more? So one thing led to another. I literally go on, I don't know if you know, but on Instagram, you can see like their email. So
Oh
sometimes
really?
had their email on there, and it was her mom. So
Uh-huh.
I get an email immediately back. I meet with her mom the next day on Zoom. It was chaotic in the best way. And we were like, yeah, we want to tell this story. However, we can make this happen. We want to do it. And 6 days later, we were in Atlanta filming because it was the day that the McDonald's All-American team got announced. And that, if you've seen the film is centered around that moment. So it was really like the timing couldn't have been better. But that's how that came about. Instagram.
Another Instagram connection made
Another
possible.
Instagram connection. Now they're like family. So
Yeah. Well, kind of like I was saying earlier, I feel like we are now more than ever, we're living in the Flau'Jae moment, right? Like I don't know about you, but my like all of August and September, Flau'Jae was on my TV. She was on like an Amazon ad, so for like back to school stuff, like dorm stuff,
uh,
and of course she made the news, helping bring LSU's women's basketball team to their first ever title. Like that's huge. So it must be a crazy or a very I don't know, it's got to be like a really rewarding, I don't know, what is it like, to sort of see the path that she's on and see her just like she's still on the rocket ship, right? She's just going.
yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's just more proof that this was such a God thing, because the timing of it, the fact that we got to that I emailed her that day for some reason, like I did not delay on reaching out to her mom, and the fact that she got back to me so quickly. Everything that she said in that documentary has come to pass. Like even conversations that Flau'Jae and I have had off the record about just what she wants to accomplish, and seeing that happen just in her freshman year, it is very rewarding. But it's also just like I have this sense of gratitude, because there was a part of me that knew that she was going to do something incredible. I mean, she was already incredible. I've already thought she was talented, but the
Mhm.
fact that all of these things lined up the way that they did and the timing that it did, I'm just like so grateful to Jesus for just like lining that up, because and it was my first feature. So I'm like, good grief. If this could be more perfect, a
Yeah.
national championship SEC freshman of the year. Her music is popping off. She got a feature from Lil Wayne. Like all these things are happening for her, and I'm just so excited. But yeah,
Yeah.
on the front end of that, I think helped with my trust with her and her family as well. Like, how to see things in someone before they probably prove it in mainstream.
Right. And I mean, I did a YouTube search for her the other day when I knew we were going to do this, and she's like pushing out a lot of tracks. Like she's like not, it's not like she's like a vanity rapper, like doing a couple things like every like a year or so. Like she's on it. Like there's stuff dropping on her YouTube channel. Like there's something from like days ago, not weeks.
Yes.
So she's clearly a force of nature. And
Popping out videos every other day, I feel like. And she also, what I want people to understand, I've been in the studio with her multiple times, and the care that she takes into her music, and not just wanting to be a trend, but really trying to create timeless tracks, and not trying to get that quick fame.
mhm.
with like, the TikToky songs. And of course she has fun TikTok songs out too, but she really wants people to take her seriously as an artist. And I see that in the work that she puts in. It's not just a facade for the cameras. Like that really is who she is. So the same care that she puts in on the basketball court, she does in the studio, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah. Well, we could continue gushing about Flau'Jae all day, but I wanted to sort of turn things back to you a little bit because I was thinking about it and I thought, I feel like you're in sort of a unique position in terms of filmmakers that appear in our kind of they're working in this kind of space where you're like a like an executive, right? Like you're working for, like you're developing projects, you're bringing things in from various sources. You're sort of, and I feel like as a festival, because we're a film festival, we see things through this lens where we're like, sometimes it's easy to think of filmmakers as like the lone wolf creator who's just kind of like out there, like bubbling with ideas and like working like a day job and then coming to, but you're a working creative. Like you're not doing stuff like every couple of years when you get the chance, when you're finally ready to come to another project. Like this is your kind of bread and butter. This is how you make a living. And I wouldn't say you're, like I said, you're not alone in that among alumni, but I do think it's a different kind of, it must be a different sort of mindset, I think. And so I wanted to sort of pick that apart with you a little bit because what, like, just if you could talk a little bit about like what your day-to-day is, like what kind of tasks you're involved in that build up to these projects. And like you said, like some of these are going to streaming, like you have your project you were talking about earlier, that's just like a streaming series. And some of these will be, I assume in the future, you can tell me if you've completely quit the festival world, you're like, never mind. But, so there's different types of projects for different audiences. There's a lot involved and I feel like, like we said, you're busy, like you're on the go. So talk to us about your day-to-day and like what type of stuff you're involved in from day to day, from the nitty-gritty to the big stuff.
Yeah, so if you guys don't know, Togethxr is a all digital platform. So content really is what drives our outward facing presence. Our content is what grabs an audience. So everything from YouTube to Instagram, Twitter, even our Snapchat channel, it's important that we're always cranking out originals, whether it's a part of our existing series or coming up with new ideas and executing those and putting on the proper platform so people see. So every day I am meeting with new talent, scouting talent, subjects, athletes, entertainers, just researching on what the next story is going to be. And then from there, deciding what platform, how we're going to tell that story, what series we're going to put it in. We have multiple series, I would call them mid-form series. One of them being a short film about where we legit just do a short film on a woman who is just fascinating. So for instance, I just directed a short film on Shelley Ann Fraser-Pryce, who became the most decorated Jamaican sprinter in the Olympics, I believe. Yeah, in Jamaica. But yes, she is phenomenal. We went to Kingston, her hometown, to film with her. And that's really just like a part of my day-to-day, working with her reps, making sure that we have the schedule right, making sure that she's able to give us the access. Another thing to go along with access and just caring about people's stories. We were one of the first people to even film in her home. And so that really is my day-to-day, is finding these stories and then working with our production team to go and execute them. And if we're not doing a shoot that day, it's us coming up with ideas and new fresh ways to present the Togethxr brand in original content and how we can, retain the audience that we have, but also expand our audience. And then also working adjacent to the development team. So a lot of our original content that you see on YouTube is used as pilots to then sell to streaming platforms to hopefully create a more premium package of content. A perfect example of that is we had an original series called Surf Girls on our YouTube page that was used to then pitch to Hello Sunshine and to Amazon. And now we have a full-blown series on Amazon, right? Amazon Prime, called Surf Girls. So a lot of what my team does is used to then, get the Togethxr brand out to the Netflix and Amazon and Hulu's of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it goes back to your point. It's another facet of that kind of creating that relationship of care, kind of what you're talking about, like making sure that you are building trust and like, doing right by your subjects. It does involve, I mean, we talked about it before as kind of this like magic thing that happens between two people, but there's also, I would imagine, a lot of like kind of like admin work, like making sure you have an organization that is built to care about those people who are appearing in what you do. So it's interesting to hear. There's a lot of like, I always look for the unglamorous side of the work. That's the part that interests me, like the sort of nuts and bolts, like what paperwork do we have to fill out? Like, did we make the schedule correctly so that everybody gets out on time? So that like, yeah. So yeah, and I'm sure, well, you can tell me, I'm sure you're not one woman banding it anymore like you were back in your scrappy ESPN days. Do you ever find yourself out there working camera and sound and trying to get slate and stuff? Is that still you?
Thankfully, not often. If I do need to, I will. But thankfully, we have had amazing crews and resources to, let the people who are really good at that do that and let me do my job and direct and produce and do whatever I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
What's so great is that because of our original content, the that's on Togethxr owned and operated channels, brands love us and approach us about wanting to invest in branded content as well. So that's where we get a lot of our resources too, is, even though we invest a lot into our own content, that pays off by brands reaching out to us and saying, hey, we want you guys to do, XYZ episodes for, our brand or whatever. So for the most part, I don't have to, get behind the camera and actually film, which is for everybody's benefit. But yes, it's all good. It's great to have a place that is getting plenty of resources to hire people who are experts in their roles.
Right. So talk to me a little bit about how the film festival world kind of factors into this for you. I mean, you're talking a lot about kind of the day-to-day, like the business, right? Like what you're doing to sort of make a go of it with your company. So like, how does that, I can imagine there are a lot of people in your position who are just like, don't have time for film festivals. Like we got stuff to do, right? So like, how have you sort of decided to make time? I mean, what what made you want to submit to ATLFF in the first place with your film in 2021? Yeah, talk to us about that. How festivals factor into it all for you?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to one of our Togethxr directors and editors, Ariel Hairston, who I believe has submitted some of her work to Atlanta Film Festival. She actually is based in Atlanta. But it really is important to us because, like I said, Togethxr is purely digital. And so being able to get into different spaces beyond just our digital platforms, and when, not every project's going to make it on streaming. So wanting to make sure that we are getting into the film industry, because we do create films, not just, fun, cheeky shows, but we want to get into different spaces and show face and really get our brand out there. And so submitting to film festivals is not so much, a task for us, but really like an exciting way to get more, brand awareness. And so, of course, knowing the Atlanta Film Festival and its prestige, we definitely, you guys were on the top of our list as far as submitting. So that's why we're so honored to have 2 projects and hopefully more in the future being screened.
Well, I promise I didn't ask that question just so you could gas us up, but it is nice. Thank you for
I say never gas, all facts. That's what
yeah, and it does, we should mention that the 2 films that you've brought to us so far, they're Georgia stories. They're Jalaiah was, I think she's in Fayetteville or in Atlanta proper?
Yes, Fayetteville.
And I know Flau'Jae is Savannah born, but
Marietta.
Marietta, right? Okay, cool. We really appreciate sort of elevating artists that have a connection to Greater Atlanta, to Georgia at large, and are out there telling the stories, especially in a doc context. It's really great to see. So I think we're reaching the end of our time, and I want to make sure we've talked a little bit about upcoming projects. Where can people find your work if folks want to seek out your work? Can we see Fenom streaming somewhere? Can somebody with a Roku TV sit down and hit enough buttons on their remote to get to some of your work? What do they got to do to find your stuff?
Yeah, so of course, Togethxr, but Together is spelled Togethxr. .com. A lot of our short films and collaborations with other production companies actually live on there. There's a different version of Fenom. So the version that we submitted was a feature, so it's specifically for the Atlanta Film Festival or any film festival that we submitted to. But there is a version on YouTube, so if you again search Together on YouTube, you can find that. Watch the Sid and TP show on Fubo TV. It's Monday nights, I believe, at 8 p.m. Don't quote me.
Check your local listings.
Google it.
Yeah.
I should know the exact time. But yes, the Sid and TP show every Monday, but you can find that on Fubo, on Samsung TV, Roku, a whole bunch of other platforms. I think Sling TV, you can watch it on demand if you want to catch up, but that's another big project. And then, yeah, some projects that we're probably not quite ready yet to share, but definitely be on the lookout. You guys will be one of the first to know about it. But yeah, we have a lot of exciting stuff coming for y'all. So
awesome. Yeah, well, we're always happy to see another Kayla Johnson film in our submissions queue. That definitely brightens our day. So okay, well, unless I have any more obligations from our marketing team that they can tell me about, stuff I gotta say. Oh, I should mention that submissions for the 2024 Atlanta Film Festival, which is going to be taking place April 25th through May 5th, 2024. It's not as far away as it sounds. The submissions are open. If you have a film and you'd like to submit it, we are open until November 3rd. That's the very last day to send us a film to be considered for the upcoming festival. And, we'd love to see your work.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks so much, Kayla. This is a great convo. I'm glad we made the time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Do I need to hop off? How do I?
I don't know. I'm just waiting for word.
Okay. And LOL, if this is still live, I want to hop off.
It's possible.
It's possible.
I assume somebody's hitting buttons back there. I'm not getting
We are clear.